I am super annoyed right now. You ask why? I'll tell you why. Because I already filmed the review. I said everything I had to say. Everything was great, but I'm reshooting this review because the first time I used my new phone, my new cell phone and its camera to record this video, because the camera is really good, but it looks as though the only camera that's really good with the kind of lighting I have here is just the iPad I'm using right now, and then that I've been using for I don't know how many videos already. It's like nothing seems to do as good of a job as my iPad. It's super bizarre. I don't know what it is, but this just looks way better. So I'm now recording everything again. Okay, let me start by saying hi. If you're new here, my name is Michal, and this is not a reaction. This is more of a review of El Camino. If you're new here, then I do have a Breaking Bad playlist, all my reactions to the show, which I started, I think it was December 5th in 2020. Anyway, a week after, I'm sorry, I'm still trying to collect myself from my disappointment of the footage from the first try. Anyway, a week after I finished watching the show, I went straight into El Camino. I did not watch the trailer or the teaser. I actually don't know, there might be more than one, but after watching the movie, I've seen the teaser with Skinny Pete. I think this teaser, and if there's another one, then perhaps that one as well. I think for a lot of the viewers, this might give them certain expectations. Yeah, because before I finalized let's call it a synopsis for my review, I watched other reviews to see if maybe there's something I missed or a perspective to consider. And yeah, I've noticed that some people were maybe a bit disappointed because they thought from the teaser that maybe the movie will be all about the cops chasing Jesse and him needing to escape the police. And that was not the movie. So I got into the movie with no expectations other than it being good. And it did not let down in that regard. I loved the movie. I think it was very good. It was like, let's say, one of the more mellow episodes of Breaking Bad, just a 2-hour episode, 2 hours episode. So I loved it, but I think the only real target audience for this movie is people who watched Breaking Bad and loved it. Someone who hasn't watched the show wouldn't understand the characters, how complex they are. They wouldn't understand all the beautiful relationships between Jesse, the main character of the movie, and all the other little characters. Mike, I mean, he's the first one we see with Jesse. That's, I believe, the first scene of the movie, him, Jesse and Mike talking about quitting the Blue Crystal business. Skinny Pete, Badger, Jane, we see Jane again. Wow, we haven't seen her since season 2. Who else? Of course, Todd. Walter. I mean, come on. If you haven't seen the show, I think you'd be lost. I think you wouldn't go further than maybe 20 minutes watching the film, because there's not much going on. the story is basically Jesse having to get the money he needs to escape to Alaska. So yeah, it's slow-paced, but to me, those 2 hours went by really fast. I know, oh, by the way, it only hit me, and I just realized like 2 days ago, the time between when Jesse was captured by those despicable men until he was free, it was a year. I completely glossed that over. Like, it didn't cross my mind that it has been a year that he's been tortured like that. And then I remember that somewhere in the beginning of season 5, Walter was celebrating his 51st birthday, and then when he came back to Albuquerque, he was 51. It's even worse than I thought. I thought maybe he was there a few weeks or maybe a few months, but it was a year. God, poor Jesse. I mean, this movie, even though we already knew that Jesse was tortured, I think this movie showed just how horribly he was treated. Because it wasn't just physical torture, it was also, they also tortured him mentally. They treated him like they treat dogs in dog fights. You know, the way they made him run fast as he can to break the chains, because the one, I can't remember his name, the one who was Jack's kind of right hand, and Neil, a new character, they had a bet for $50 that Jesse can break the chains. So this was basically, so it wasn't enough that they were hurting him. He also had to hurt himself. At that scene, I gotta say, I felt sick. It was just sick. It was hard to watch. Now, I don't know if it was intentional, but at that scene, my mind went to when Jesse broke the chain and threw the gate when Walter freed him. So my mind made that connection. My God, I just have to pause for a second, because I mean, the difference between what I'm seeing in this screen and the result I got in my new phone is just ridiculous. I don't know, I mean, it's a really good camera, but when I transfer the file to my PC, it looks like crap. I don't know if anyone knows about Galaxy S21. My partner decided that he just has to get me this phone because my older phone started to be a real drag. So if you know about settings for video and then how to make it look better on my PC, please let me know, because it would be so much easier using this small thing rather than the iPad. But for now, I'm just gonna keep using the iPad because it gives me such better results. Okay, so where was I? I have my file over here. It's open because I don't want to miss anything. I talked about the target audience. On that department, by the way, I do want to say that objectively, I think even if I hadn't watched Breaking Bad, I would appreciate the dark humor. That for me, the best example for that is when Todd tells Jesse what happened to his housekeeper while he's, I don't know, cooking beans or making coffee. I don't know what he was doing in the kitchen. I could appreciate that. But if I wasn't a fan of the show, I don't think I would even reach that part of the movie. So yeah, target audience, definitely just fans of Breaking Bad. Okay, now if I was talking about the chains that all the mechanics that Neil, he was in charge of that character. Just to add some more shit on top of the shit of people that were already hurting Jesse, he was a big part of the condition he was in. He later sees him over at Todd's place. In that scene, we see Neil and a partner of his. They pretend to be cops, and furthermore, they pretend like there's backup, more cops around the block, in the neighborhood. And at that scene, I couldn't help but thinking about Hank, who was trying to convince Jack that backup is coming, until Walter destroyed that glimpse of hope. Yeah, the lie just didn't stick, but it worked for Neil. And then it's revealed that they are not cops. They came to Todd's place to take the money, just like Jesse. But Jesse, he grew some balls, and he talked his way into convincing Neil to split the money 3 ways, while Neil was pointing his gun at Jesse. Jesse really, at that point, he really didn't have anything to lose. So he was like, fuck it. No, I'm taking the money. And yeah, that was very proactive of him, and I like that. Okay, so he took the money, he went over to Ed. There we get a funny Jesse moment where he tries to remember the code to give Ed, but he can't really remember the exact line he needs to say. By the way, the actor who plays Ed, I learned that he passed away the same day that the movie came out. So that was sad to hear. I don't remember seeing that actor anywhere else, but he made a really good impression on me in Breaking Bad. So I liked that he was in this movie too. I actually liked all the choices they made with, I guess Vince made those choices with the characters he decided to put in that movie, even if it's just for a little while. I was surprised that Todd was he took a huge chunk of the movie, but because this is a Jesse film, I and it revolves around him finding his own way and finally becoming free and happy. I get why it's him and Todd most of the time, because we had to see just how much he was suffering, and of course we needed Todd's money to get Jesse to where he needs to be by the end of the movie. So Jesse, he was in a pickle because Ed asked him for more money, and he was $1,800 short. So he went over to Neil, who was having a party with his gang. And before we saw the ladies who came to entertain them, I was sure that they are there not by choice. And when I saw that they are actually pros and okay with being there, I was like, phew, because the last thing I needed was, that crime as well. I wouldn't be able to handle it. There was too much disturbing things in that very subtle, but it was still very disturbing, the things that we saw in the movie, which include not just Jesse running back and forth and hurting himself, but also like the way they hosed him down. Yeah, just seeing the scars on his back from all the beating and the PTSD he had. So Jesse went over to Neil. He said, look, I just need this amount of money, which is really nothing. It's crumbs, really. Just $1,800. Just give me, that's all I need, and I'm gone. But Neil, I don't know, he was high. He was like, he had a buzz, I guess. He offered Jesse a duel, and Jesse was prepared because he had 2 guns, which he took from his parents' house, which both of them, I also liked the fact that they showed us his parents. They changed the password for the safe where they were keeping the guns, and this was also one of my small favorite scenes in the movie, because at first Jesse tries a couple of times the older password, and then he realizes that okay, they probably changed it. He thinks about it for a second or two, and then it's like obvious to him that, oh, okay, it's Jake's birthday. And it's so consistent with what we've seen from his parents before. They always saw Jesse, he was always the black sheep of the family, and they gave up on him. But Jake was like their shining star. So of course, Jake's birthday is going to be the password to the safe, which is what actually was a big factor on him escaping, because without the money, he would the 1800, he wouldn't be able to escape to Alaska, and he wouldn't be able to get the money he needed without those guns. So thank you, Jack, I guess. And thank you, Jesse's parents, for being so predictable. Yeah, so Jesse killed Neil, which was very satisfying after seeing how much Neil contributed to Jesse's suffering when he was in captive. He got the money. Then we see, just before the end of the movie, we see Jesse with Ed. They reached the final destination. We see how thorough Ed is with the fake stories he gives his clients and the pop quizzes he does before he sets his clients off. He asked about not just to recite the social security number, he also asked to recite it backwards. He gives his customers information like things that I wouldn't even think about asking a person, like what was the second to last job of your father? Like really, he goes really deep into creating a character, which is cool. At that point, Jesse gives Ed a letter to pass on to Brock, which was really nice. I wish we could see or hear exactly what he wrote Brock, but I guess, I don't know. What could he have written Brock? I just realized that Brock doesn't have a mother, because, I mean, it's hard for me to say because Jesse wouldn't, he gave the Nazis trouble, at the end of the day, those were just bad people. So, I mean, if anyone should take the blame, it's them. But, you know, they shot Andrea and killed her because Jesse tried to escape. So that's something that's probably gonna sit on Jesse's heart for a long time. But at the end, he goes off with a smile on his face. And I couldn't help but feel finally Jesse got the ending he deserved. Right before we see his smile on his face and him like going off to a new start, we had a flashback of him with Jane. They revisited the conversation they had when they went to the art gallery, because back then Jane, she thought her attitude to life was that life opens a door for you. Just, you know, go with the flow wherever life takes you. But in the flashback, she actually changed her mind, and she said she prefers to make her own decisions and, you know, create her own path. And that is exactly what Jesse did at the end of the movie. And I'm glad he did. Yeah, obviously we also got a really great scene with Walter. And it was actually also funny. There was some humor there. Walter just assumed Jesse never graduated. And then Jesse reminded him that actually he did graduate, and Walter himself handed him the diploma. Yeah, and that actually I think I felt like hearing that before. In the show, was there ever a time where Walter mentions something like that to one of the characters? Something about Jesse not even graduating. I feel like he said that before. Maybe not to Jesse, but to someone. Yeah, anyway, I loved the movie. I thought it was very emotional, hard at some part. But if you loved Breaking Bad and you still haven't watched the movie, I say watch it. It's not a 10 out of 10 for me, even though I really liked it. But it's like, I gave it 8. I give it 8.5, something like that. Just because it's really only just for people who watched Breaking Bad. It was also not really necessary in my opinion, and some of you also said that. I will go over your thoughts very, very soon. Yeah, it's not the kind of movies that I would watch again and again and again like I did with Pride and Prejudice and the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Fiddler on the Roof I watched a bunch of times. And I'm not ashamed to say the Twilight Saga. Yes, it's my guilty pleasure. You hear it for the first time. Yeah. So look, it's way better than any of the Twilight movies, that's for sure. But you know, there's good and then there's entertaining, and just a movie really has to really entertain me constantly for me to watch it again and again and again. And I think that even when I watch the entire show from start to finish again, I won't feel obligated to watch the movie as if it's essential to you know, as a part of that universe. You know what I mean? Yeah. I just want to go over a few things. Oof, you know, I feel like this take is not as good as the first one, but I promised a review, so I'm finishing this review. Okay, here are some small details I loved. Todd, he had in his apartment a crystal with a figurine that looks like Lydia. That was funny. And he also kept Drew's tarantula, because he is a psycho. I loved the lighting on Jesse's face when he was taking a shower and was looking in the mirror. When we saw him while he was in the shower, he had his gun right very close to him. It was kind of funny to see him shake the water off the gun and then put it behind his back. That was kind of funny. The montage where Jesse looks for Todd's money was cool. There was one shot where they had the camera, it was kind of tilting. That was cool. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think overall it's a good movie. But like I said, it's not a 10 because of its weaknesses, which the major one is it being targeted just for people who saw the show, and the fact that there weren't any intense moments or a lot going on screen. Yeah, and just for some reason, like, again, it's not the kind of movies that I would watch again and again for the rest of my life. And just one thing I want to mention, because I don't know if I said that in my reaction to the finale, but look, Jesse did some bad things. He cooked Crystal, he killed Gail, he was planning on killing other people as well. Whether or not they're criminals doesn't really matter. So on one hand, I say he should pay the price and get some sort of a punishment through the legal system. But after seeing this movie, even before, but this movie just really just confirms even further my belief that the year he spent in captivity was just I would say he overpaid. Yeah, it's like he was charged way too much for his crimes. So I'm glad he wasn't killed or caught by the police. I also want to say that I saw the teaser with Skinny Pete, and he said something really beautiful. He said that his friend was in a cage for a year, and that even if he knew where Jesse was going, he wouldn't tell them because they just want to put him back in a cage. Oh my God, my heart was just like, this movie, it wasn't easy at some parts, but I liked that they gave us a bit of humor every now and then. Yeah, so those are my thoughts about the movie. Again, I don't know how this video will turn out. Doing reviews is I think way harder than reactions. I know that at the end of my like in every reaction videos I do, I also have a discussion part, But I don't know, I feel like this video is kind of different in a way. I don't know, I'm just trying out new things. Like I tried using the new camera on my new phone. That didn't go so well. Maybe you won't like this video. I don't know. You tell me. Anyway, let's go over about what you wrote to me on the post. Let's see. Hans Anderson, you wrote, I couldn't really enjoy it. Jesse always behaved so stupidly. I'm sad that Walter is dead. Do you mean he behaved stupidly on the show and that's kind of hurts your experience while watching the show? I think I said that in my opinion, in that movie, he actually grew some balls and made some good decisions, and he played it smarter. Like when he trolled his parents and made them go outside somewhere else to get the heat off of him so he can sneak into their house and take the guns. That was smart. Or him not backing down when Neil was pointing a gun to him. He just kept on taking the money because he had nothing to lose. So I don't know, but that's too bad that you couldn't enjoy the movie. Lee Lawrence, you said, why didn't they make Todd lose some weight before filming? And then Sertu, you said that it's, what is that? You said that it was because he had to gain weight for an episode of Black Mirror, which I haven't seen. So I guess there's a good reason why he was a bit heavier. But I would say that it did take me out of the movie just a little bit. The same happened to me when they showed all the other characters, but especially with Kristen Ritter, who plays Jane. She obviously, I mean, we haven't seen her since season 2, so it's like she aged even more, you know? So that also kind of gave me the same effect of just pulling me out for a few seconds from the story. So I understand why it bothered you. But, you know, I try to look beyond that. The Insatiable Mr. Dong, you wrote, I honestly thought it was unnecessary. I actually agree with that. I think everyone was kind of happy with the ending of Breaking Bad, but I guess Vince felt like he needed to give Jesse a better ending. And I guess it also came in a time where, you know, revivals are so popular. So yes, it was unnecessary, but I appreciate it. Hungry Mad, you said, I didn't like the movie. For me, it's 5 out of 10. So I already told you my rating. It's like 8.5. There's nothing, I mean, if that's how you feel, then, you know, it's really subjective. But I would like to know, if you're watching this, did you have any expectations? Did it let you down somehow? Like, maybe why 5 out of 10? But, you know, there are no wrong answers. Like I said, it's really subjective. Inner Circle, aka Rick, you said, yeah, it's okay. Just an extended BB episode. Yes, rather than a movie. Yeah, like I said, like a mellow episode in Breaking Bad. And you said Fat Todd ruined it for me. Poor, what's his name? His name is Jesse Plesmon, something like that. Poor Jesse. Like I said, yeah, it took me out from the movie for a few seconds. Michelle Ortega, I think it was an okay movie. Wasn't the best, but not bad. It was necessary, though, for closure. I have to say I'm better enjoying Better Call Saul. Okay, that's Better Call Saul. So I agree with the movie being unnecessary, but I also can see why you would say it was necessary. I think all the characters in Breaking Bad, except for Jesse, had somewhat of a closed ending, and with Jesse it was too open. We didn't know if he turned himself in or got caught or was able to escape. And we needed, well, I guess it didn't hurt for us to see that he escaped and happy. Yeah. So it sounds weird that I'm kind of agreeing with both of you, the insatiable Mr. Dong and Michelle Ortega, but I mean, both can be true at the same time. That this was unnecessary and necessary. Liam O'Brien, I liked it the first time the most. It won't be a repeat watch, but it was cool. Okay, so you saw it more than once, and I agree. It wouldn't be a must for me to watch it again. Two Heart, I enjoyed the movie also. Nice to see some of the old gang again. To me, the only old gang, like old faces, was Jane, because I haven't seen her since season 2. All the other people, I just finished watching the show, so it wasn't so nostalgic for me. But I mean, if you've waited a few years for the movie, then yeah, I know that feeling of seeing characters you liked after you haven't seen them for years. I felt that way when they had the revival for Gilmore Girls, because I really liked that show, and yeah, after like 10 years since when it was done, it was nice seeing those faces again and watching those characters again, going through whatever they were going through. Finally, Peter Saborin, El Camino is worth watching just for Todd's rendition of sharing the night together. Yeah, that scene, he was so casual. I don't remember if it was before or after they buried his housekeeper, but it really doesn't matter. Like, he is so... One of the traits of a psychopath is that they don't have any remorse or guilt or empathy, right? And after he kills a woman, he's singing songs in his car and doing like this to the truck that drives past him. It's one of the weirdest characters, but not my most hated character. Yeah, but it was a good song. So yeah, that's it. That was El Camino. That was my sort of review. I don't know what's to come out of this video. I just wanted to ramble a bit about the movie, talk about how I felt and what I thought of it, about it. and yeah, also give you the chance to like voice your opinion about it. I know usually I communicate with you, with almost all of you in the comments, exchanging thoughts. But I also wanted to give you a spotlight in the video. You are really, really cool. Yeah, so I don't know how to finish this video. Let me know what you thought of the video. If you have anything to add about, the movie, you are always free to comment. So how do I finish a review video? Watch the movie. Yeah, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Bye.